Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing a Nouvelles deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this for you guys because this deck is an amazing ritual deck that we just got out of Wild Survivors. This deck is super fun to be able to play because it's actually based on an old school ritual monster, Hungry Burger, which is just amazing. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of Notification Squad, and definitely check out the Patreon in the description below for all those awesome rewards, like getting your name screenshot in a single video, getting a signed card sent in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your Patreon. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 2 copies of Burlabase. Burlabase is really good as a 2-of in the deck. This card actually lets you dig into the deck, which helps you out a lot. It is a really good ability that you can ritual summon this card with a recipe card, which all of your Nouvelles monsters actually share that ability. And if this card is special summoned, you excavate the top 5 cards of your deck, and if you do, add 1 excavated Nouvelles card to your hand. Also shuffle the rest back in the deck, which is a great effect to help you dig into the deck to get the exact cards that you need. This card also has a great ability that when a card or effect is activated that targets this card on the field, or when this card is targeted for an attack, quick effect, you can tribute this card and 1 attack position monster on either player's field, and if you do, special summon a level 2 or 3 Nouvelles ritual monster from your hand or deck, which is a crazy powerful effect that you can actually tribute one of your opponent's monsters plus this card to be able to summon out a level 2 or 3 ritual monster from your deck. That's such a cool effect to be able to use. We then play 2 copies of Potals. Potals is really good as a 2-0 because this card actually lets you draw cards. It has a great ability that if this card is special summon, you get to draw a card. And it also has the ability, just kind of like your copy of Burlabase, that when a card or effect is activated that targets a monster on the field, which is a little bit better than your copy of Burlabase, or when a monster is targeted for an attack, quick effect, you can tribute 1 Nouvelles monster that you control and an attack position monster on either player's field, and if you special summon out a level 4 or 5 Nouvelles monster that's a ritual monster from your hand or deck, which is a great effect to be able to do because it's actually going to let you climb into your copy of Balamanir. Balamanir is really insane. This card is definitely a 2-of and a card you want to go for extremely quickly so you can actually step into Belgrill. But this card is really great in the deck because it has the ability, if this card is special summoned, you can add a Nouvelles or recipe card from your deck to your hand. You can also target an attack position monster that your opponent controls, tribute it, and if you do, special summon out a level 6 Nouvelles ritual monster from your hand or deck. And it's a quick effect if this card was special summoned by the effect of a Nouvelles monster, which is great to be able to do because you're usually going to summon it off a Nouvelles monster's effect. We then play a single copy of Belgrill. Belgrill is crazy. This card is like one of the craziest boss monsters I've ever read because it can actually tribute your opponent's entire field of monsters. This card can be ritual summoned with a recipe card, just like all of your other Nouvelles ritual monsters. And if this card is special summoned, you can negate the effects of all face-up cards that your opponent currently controls, just being a cold wave until the end of the turn. Then, if this card was special summoned by the effect of a Nouvelles monster, you can tribute as many monsters that your opponent controls as possible. And quick effect, you can target an attack position monster that your opponent controls and tribute it if you special summon out a Hungry Burger from your hand or deck, which is a really insane effect that this card can cold wave your opponent's field, tribute all your opponent's monsters, and then if they keep playing, you can actually tribute another monster off their side of the field and then summon out Hungry Burger, which is just insane. This card is definitely just a 1-of in the deck because it's so easy to get to, and you always want to summon it off of Burlabase's actual effect. We then play a single copy of Hungry Burger. Hungry Burger is just so you can summon it off of Belgrill, and plus it's too much of a meme not to play. This card is just super good in the deck. It's one of the best Yu-Gi-Oh cards ever created, and it's really amazing that they actually based an entire archetype around this card. It's so cool. We then play 3 copies of Cyber Angel Benton. Cyber Angel Benton is really good to be able to use to tribute to summon off your monsters when you ritual summon, because this card will actually let you search light fairy monsters from your deck when it's tributed, and when you ritual summon, you tribute the monsters. So this card is great to help you actually summon out your ritual monsters while also getting searches. We then play a single copy of Cyber Petite Angel. This card is good as a 1-of in the deck because it has a great ability. If this card is summoned, you can add a Cyber Angel monster or a Machine Angel ritual from your deck to your hand, which you're always just going to add your copy of Benton off this card's effect so you can have something to tribute. We then play 3 copies of Diviner of the Heralds. Diviner of the Heralds is one of the best cards for ritual decks because this card has a great ability. If you normal or special on this card, you can send a fairy monster from your deck or extra deck to the graveyard, and if you do, increase this card's level by the monster's level until the end of the turn, which is a great effect to be able to send your copy of Herald of Arclight from your extra deck to the graveyard to get you a search of a ritual monster or ritual spell, while also increasing this card's level to 6, which will actually help us step into a Baron de Fleur with one of the other cards we're playing in the deck. This card also has a really good ability. If it's tributed, you can special summon out a level 2 or lower fairy monster from your hand or deck, except another copy of this card, which can be your Cyber Petite Angel that you can actually summon to your side of the field, so you can get an additional search of a copy of Benton, which is going to set you up for an entire ritual play. We then play 3 copies of Sakitama. Sakitama is insane in this deck. This card is a level 4, so it works extremely well with your copy of Diviner of the Heralds, letting you step into Baron de Fleur because this will be a level 6 and this will actually be a level 4. But this card is awesome because you're going to reveal this card in your hand, and immediately as effect resolves, you get to normal summon a spirit monster from your hand. But in effect, a lot of people forget on this card is if this card is tributed, you can target a spirit monster in your graveyard and add it back to your hand. So if you tribute your copy of Sakitama to ritual summon out a monster, you just get it right back to your hand, which is great because then you can normal summon it out to your side of the field, which is a crazy powerful effect to be able to use with this card. This card is definitely a 3 of in the deck and is super helpful by just revealing it in your hand, normal summoning it beside your Diviner to go in for Baron de Fleur, or tributing it to be able to add it back to hand off of a ritual spell. We then play 2 copies of Herald of the Orange Light. This card is a great hand trap just to stop your opponent in their tracks, and is a really good monster negate. We then play 3 copies of Ash Blossom to round out the monsters. Ash Blossom is just a very good hand trap at just stopping your opponent from touching the deck. It's just a really good card overall. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to be playing a single copy of Called by the Grave. Called by the Grave is really good as a 1 of in the deck, just to stop your opponent from hand trapping you while you're going in for all of your plays. We then play a single copy of Meat Recipe. You only need a single copy of Meat Recipe in the deck because this card is just going to help you ritual summon out your monsters to your side of the field. We then play 2 copies of Fish Recipe. Fish Recipe is really great in the deck because this card actually gets a bonus effect when you ritual summon, which is a really good ability. This card can be used to ritual summon any Nouvelles ritual monster that you want, and you must also tribute monsters from your hand or field whose total level equal or exceed the level of the ritual monster you're attempting to ritual summon. Then if you ritual summon out your copy of Base, you have the ability that you can also add the ability that you add a recipe ritual spell from your deck or graveyard to your hand, except a copy of this card, which is great to search out your copy of your Meat Recipe. We then play 3 copies of Pre-Preparation of Rites. This card is great to be able to search out your copy of your Fish Recipe and your Base from your deck to your hand, and it's just a really good 3 of in the deck. We then play 3 copies of Preparation of Rites. Preparation of Rites works extremely well in the deck as well, to be able to add a level 7 or lower ritual monster from your deck to your hand, essentially being the Rhoda for the deck. We then play 3 copies of Today's Menu, one of my favorite cards in the entire deck, because this card is like taking your opponent out to dinner, which is really cool because you actually let them pick what the entree is, which is really cool. It has the ability to reveal 2 Nouvelles monsters with different names from your deck, and your opponent chooses one of them to add to your hand, and then you shovel the other one into the deck, and then add one of the cards from your deck or graveyard to your hand based on the monster that they added to your hand by this effect. If they add a Beast Warrior monster, you add Fish Recipe. If you add a Warrior, then you add Meat Recipe, which is really good to be able to do because you're usually just going to grab 2 cards and reveal them that you're guaranteeing going to get your copy of Fish Recipe from your deck to your hand, which is a really good effect to be able to do. We then play 3 copies of the Restaurant at Table. This card is great as a 3 of the deck and is a crazy powerful ritual spell that's going to let you draw every single turn. And it's also a Rhoda for the deck that when this card is activated, you add a recipe card from your deck or graveyard to your hand, and once per turn you can place a ritual monster from your hand on the bottom of your deck to draw a card. And once per turn during your end phase, you can target 2 cards in your graveyard, including a recipe card, place them on the bottom of the deck in any order, and then draw a card, which is really good that this card can actually let you draw so many times. And you can only activate one of this card per turn, but this card is really good as a 3 of in the deck. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're just going to be playing a single copy of Staff Recipe and a single copy of Chef's Special Recipe. These two are really good as one-ups in the deck, for the counter trap having a really good ability that when a spell, trap card, or monster effect is activated while you control a Nouvelles ritual monster, negate the activation, then you can destroy that card. And if you control a monster that was special summoned by the effect of a Nouvelles monster, then you have the ability that if you special summon a Hungry Burger, you can manage this card from your graveyard and treat as many monsters your opponent controls as possible, which is a great effect to be able to use. Then you have the copy of the Staff Recipe that has a great ability that you can target a ritual monster that you control and special summon a Nouvelles token that's a Fiend Dark level 1, 500 attack and 500 defense to your side of the field, and this token can become the same as that monster's, which is a really good ability that it copies the level of the monster that you use for this card, which is a really good ability to be able to use with this card on the field. You can also send this face-up card on the field from your spell and trap card zone to the graveyard, and then you get to ritual summon a Nouvelles ritual monster from your hand by tributing monsters from your hand or field whose total levels equal or exceed the level of the ritual monster, which is a really awesome effect to be able to use with this card. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing two copies of Dynamondo. Dynamondo is really good in just about any ritual deck because this card has a great ability that if this card is special summoned, you can actually target one card on the field and a ritual monster in the graveyard, shuffle them both into the deck. And also during your opponent's next turn, or during your opponent's turn, quick effect, you can tribute this card and then target one ritual monster in the graveyard and either add it to your hand or special summon it, which is a really good effect to be able to use on this card. We then play a single copy of Crusadia Avermax. This card is just a really good boss monster to be able to put on your side of the field. It's a crazy powerful card in this deck. We then play a single copy of Access Code. Access Code is just really good because you can pop multiple cards on the field with this card, and it's a great boss monster. We then play a single copy of Appaloosa because it's very easy to put on your side of the field with multiple negates with this card. We then play a single copy of Nightmare Unicorn. The Unicorn's great in this deck to be able to spin cards off the field. One copy of Phoenix to pop spells and traps, and a single copy of IP Masquerena, because IP works extremely well in this deck, because this card helps out to be able to link summon during your opponent's turn to say your copy of Nightmare Unicorn to spin cards off the field. We then play a single copy of Alamirage. Alamirage is great in the deck as a one-of, because this card just helps you link summon away one of your monsters on the field that's been normal summoned with 8,000 or less attack points to give you a little bit of protection. We then play a single copy of Chaos Angel. This card is actually very easy to go into in this deck, and is a really cool boss monster in this particular build. We then play a single copy of Baron de Fleur. Baron de Fleur is a card we're always going to be summoning in this deck, and this card is great in this particular build, because all you have to do is have a copy of Diviner in your hand and a copy of Sakitama, because you just normal summon out the copy of Diviner, send Herald of Arclight from your deck to the graveyard, or from your extra deck to the graveyard, get a search, it becomes level 6, reveal your copy of Sakitama, then normal summon out Sakitama to be able to synchro into this card, which is really nice. We then play a single copy of Excel Synchro Stardust Dragon. This card is really good in the deck, just in case you need to make this card. It's really good to help you synchro summon into Baron de Fleur, just in case you don't have the copy of Sakitama. And it's a really awesome card because you can bring back your copy of Diviner or Orange Light from the graveyard to be able to synchro summon into a copy of Baron de Fleur. We then play two copies of Herald of the Arclight. Two copies is totally fine. You really don't need three, but if this card does touch the graveyard, you get to actually search out a ritual monster or a ritual spell from your deck to your hand, which is a really good effect to be able to use. And then finally, a single copy of Elder Entity Nest, just in case you normal summon out your copy of Diviner and you need to pop a card on the field. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed. This deck is super fun, and as somebody who went through culinary school and graduated from culinary school, this deck is a deck I've been excited for a long time. I'm going to be playing this deck a lot, and it's just really awesome to be able to play a deck because cooking kind of is like a ritual, and I really love that they made them ritual monsters. So that's going to do it for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.